Oh, who is this? This is Roger L. Jackson, Ghostface from the Scream franchise, and you're listening to the Don't Go Out There horror movie review podcast. So you like scary movies, huh? What's your favorite scary movie? And it better be the right answer, or I'll... Well, you know the rest. Thank you. You're such a lovely audience. We'd like to take you home with us. Or better yet, see you in your home.
You forgot the first rule of remakes, Jill. Don't fuck with the original.
In a world where zombies, ghosts, serial killers, and vampires all exist, it's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin, and they are all that stand between you and the films that could end the world. Welcome to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Podcast.
Do we need to start
ahead,
over
Nico.
with this post?
No.
Okay.
No.
My bad.
No. Go.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Don't Go Out There Horror Movie Review Podcast. We're going live tonight. Super excited for this. Just going to give a quick shout out to our Essentials website and our social medias, don'tgoouthere.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, where you can watch us. If you want to become a blood donor or Patreon, monthly or reoccurring, just check that on the website. But last year, Mike, he introduced us to the idea of the 31 on 31 ranking, which he learned from Cody Leach from YouTube. Last year we had fun doing this, so we're doing it again this year. We'll be ranking Hellraiser, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I forgot what else we were doing. Child's Play and Scream. Super excited to review them. Just a little nervous because we're on live right now, I guess. But just ignore that. All right, Mike, you want to take over?
Sure, man. Yeah. So again, I like to go live occasionally, and I feel like this is the kind of show that kind of tends well to going live, at least in my opinion. So obviously, if you're watching this live, you'll get to see it firsthand, and then hey, there he is. It'll be up for our Patreon people first, and then next week on Halloween it'll drop, or this weekend it'll drop on Halloween, and that makes more sense because 31 on 31. So going into this whole thing, I thought we had 31 movies. Apparently, we're all bad at math. We had 30 movies.
I'll own that. That. I'm the one that sent y'all the list. Here's the 31 movies. I included one that wasn't an official movie, but that's fine.
That's okay because it's not like any of us ever checked you on it. We just assumed. So we actually had 30 movies. Then we added another special treat that Nico got to pick, a standalone movie, and we figured it's spooky season. It's Halloween time, so we're also going to rank Trick or Treat in this ranking of 31 films, which I'm excited. I had to go back and kind of switch some things up a little bit because I think if you listen to our review of Trick or Treat, I like that movie, so I had to kind of rank it accordingly. So here we are. We're going to rank all 31 movies from Child's Play, Scream, Hellraiser. I already said Scream. I also forget all the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Trick or Treat. See, it's not just you, Nico. All right. So I guess if I'm driving this boat, let's do this thing. Nico, you're number 31. Let's do it, brother.
All right, number 31 for me. And if y'all don't follow me on Twitter, you didn't see this tweet, but I apologize if there are any diehard Hellraiser franchise fans. I'm not the biggest fan, but I respect it if you like it. Coming in at number 31 for me is Hellraiser Revelations. I just wrote a quick little summary because I only watched the Hellraiser movies one time, and I'm not gonna pretend like I remember everything. I just wrote Pinhead, or should I say, great value Pinhead. Looks like a failed Pinterest idea. It's only 76 minutes, 9th installment. No Doug Bradley. Estimated budget of $300 to $350K. Do I need to say more to describe how terrible this is? But the effects aren't that bad in some of it.
Yeah, I think that I'd be surprised if that movie is not Universal. I also have it 31st. It's the cheap. Brian's shaking his head. No, Jesus, I love you, Brian.
God almighty. I don't want to hear anything about Jason X, brother.
This movie looks
better than Jason X.
Cheap. Whoa. This movie just looks cheap. It looks like it has a $300 budget, not $300,000, $300 budget. Everything about it sucked. It's an abomination to a franchise that admittedly is not the best. I told you guys, like, I think I have some nostalgia for some of the Hellraiser movies because it's some of the earliest movies I remember watching with my dad. This one ain't it. This one, if this was the first movie I'd ever seen in the franchise, I wouldn't have even given the time of day to the rest of them. Bad.
Brian?
So just a disclaimer, like last year's 31 on 31, I may have ranked these 1 through 31, but there are 3 pretty distinct tiers again that I have where just because one comes after the other doesn't mean it's that close to it. I mean, they're pretty interchangeable within my tiers. I have that I love a tier, not bad, and yeah, I would watch that again. And then the third tier, the bottom tier, which to me was the hardest to rank, to be honest. These movies stink. I don't care if I never see them again. So my number 31 here is actually Child's Play 2019. I know people, who like to say this is the same thing they did kind of about the Nightmare remake. You don't like it because it's a remake. To them, I say, I'm pretty sure I like more of the remakes than I do not like the remakes. This just isn't one of them. I hate the stuff they changed. Mark Hamill is a great voice actor, and I love Aubrey Plaza, but I'm with friend of the show, Christina Leese, on her vocal thoughts of how this fucking blows. And truthfully, I think it's super shitty how they did Mancini. Regardless of the craziness that he's taken this franchise, it's been his. It's his fucking franchise. It's his right to do it. So I hate Buddy's look. This is just like Halloween 3, though. If it had a different name, maybe I'd be more okay with it. But I don't like the creative choices. The whole thing, I hated it.
Also, before Mike says it, Audrey Plaza, call me sometime.
Yeah, I was about to say that, but not yet. Later, because I vehemently disagree with Brian, but that's okay. Okay, my number 31, to no one's surprise, is Hellraiser Revelations. This movie sucks, man. It's so bad. They did this thing on a shoestring budget, and you can do a good movie on shoestring budget. They did not. They rushed this together in like 2 weeks or whatever. So Doug Bradley said no mas, and if you don't even have the original Pinhead, what do you have? Terrible plot and acting, awful effects. One of the worst horror movies I've ever watched, and I mean that. So that's number 31, Hellraiser Revelations. Go ahead, Nico. Number 30.
All right. Number 30 for me is Hellraiser Hellworld. I just wrote more terrible acting. Hellraiser is a video game world now, huh? I wrote there was a nice Saw-inspired kill. The phone thing makes no sense. Hellbound drive address, LOL. I wrote, is this a porno? Because there was sex scenes over and over. Shout out to Lance Hendrickson, but this movie is terrible.
Okay. My 30th, I went away from Hellraiser here. This one is
you son puzzling. Of a bitch.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation.
Oh, okay.
It's the fourth installment. It's the fourth installment of the franchise. Came out in 1994. What the fuck? Well, all right. So first of all, tranny Leatherface is an interesting direction. That's certainly a choice.
Yes, it is.
The movie is just all over the place with the storyline and all the what they were trying to do with it. Matthew McConaughey, I get it. He's trying to break in. This is a big role for him to take in a iconic franchise. He should have turned this role down. This was just a bad movie that I will confidently say I will never watch this again.
Well, my number 30 is Seed of Chucky. Because, man, we haven't reviewed this yet, but this movie is some bullshit. Like, I loathe this movie. Like, it just jumped the shark more than Freddy's Dead did to me. Starting off with doll sperm to start the movie off. Look, just fuck this movie. I don't have a whole lot else to say about it.
Okay, my number 30 is Hellraiser Judgment. Basically, it's the plot of the movie.
Actually, I like that one.
Yeah, but the problem is it's the plot of the movie 7, but it's significantly worse because they just shoved Pinhead in it. And so I know that's kind of this franchise where they just take. I do too, but I don't like it with Pinhead. I'll take it without Pinhead or Pincushion Head or whatever his fucking name is. But my point is, I will take any other Sorry, you got me off track. It made me irrationally angry because this movie also makes me irrationally angry. What I'm trying to say is that Hellraiser does this a lot, where they take an existing script and just shove Pinhead in it, and that's what this movie did, and I don't think it worked out very well. Some of the kills are pretty good. There's some decent gore, but the plot and everything just doesn't work for me. So Hellraiser Judgment is my number 30.
All right, 29 for me is Hellraiser Inferno. I just wrote WTF is going on. This detective stinks.
He's going to put the
pretty
whole
terrible
Hellraiser
movie.
franchise at the bottom.
It's going to be a while before I get out of it. Terrible movie that couldn't keep my attention. And shout out to Horrible Reviews. Watch his little summary of all the movies. There's only 2 minutes and 18 seconds of Pinhead in the entire movie. Like you guys said, just a regular movie. Then they just threw Pinhead in it just to keep the rights. Selfish of them.
It's kind of like that's probably why I like it, to be honest.
So
Fair
Nico,
enough.
we're on the same page here. For my 29th, I put Hellraiser Inferno. It's the 5th installment in the franchise. This is word for word what my notes say. WTF is the storyline. I don't need multiple killers. I need more Pinhead. And so this is one of those movies that this script was not a Hellraiser script at all when it was made. It was a existing script for another movie I did. They just decided, hey, let's make this a Hellraiser movie. And you can tell a lot of it feels out of place, unorganized. It's just it's terrible. Inferno is number 29 for me.
Number 29 for me is Texas Chainsaw: The Next Generation. Dustin touched on this some, but it's hilarious to me that McConaughey and Zellweger, two Oscar winners, made this, and the movie sucked so bad that nobody bought it. And then as soon as those two hit it big, they were like, "Hey, guess what we have?" That's so fucked up. But and I didn't understand why it was not the Sawyer family at all. I don't know. It almost did have a little bit of a Wrong Turn vibe to it. I wrote, but not nearly as good. I didn't enjoy this at all. It didn't feel like a chainsaw movie either to me. Plus, Leatherface, like Dustin said, looked absolutely horrible.
Okay, my number 29 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. It sucks. It's so bad. The only reason it's not last because those two Hellraiser movies, I almost had to turn them off. I hated them so much. So this movie I can at least sit through, and the only reason I could sit through it is Matthew McConaughey losing his mind in this role, and it's humorous in that way. But outside of that, man, this movie stinks. It's an awful portrayal of Leatherface. I don't get what in the hell they're trying to do, and makes a big sin by just not capturing any of the original essence of the first movie. Like, there's early on, you would have no idea that the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is a classic. Like, you just think this is some BS VHS thing you picked up on a Saturday night because you needed a scary movie to watch. And so that, to me, is an ultimate sin. So number 29, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: Next Generation.
All right, 28 for me is Hellraiser Deader. I just wrote newspaper writer investigates a suicide cult instead of them just getting the police involved. I just wrote just a boring movie with barely any Pinhead again. So sorry. Once we get out of these Hellraisers, I'll have more to say. Sorry, guys.
First off, before I go next, I want to tell Matt Sears that we always appreciate your support, but Halloween 3 would only be top 3 in the ranking if we only rank the movies that we've mentioned so far on this show.
Probably not even for me.
Respectfully, of course, respectfully. So what number are we on, 28? My number 28 is Seed of Chucky. Like Brian already said, I mean, what the hell's going on with this movie? We got a kid that's gray. We got Britney Spears getting ran off the road. We got doll titties. What the yuck? This movie sucks. Shout out to Redman, though. I love Redman. I love Redman's music. I think he's a hilarious guy and a very talented person, but he's the only bright spot.
Number 28 for me. Here it is. Finally, Hellraiser 9 Revelations. I wrote Doug Bradley. It's really weird with Stephen Collins as Hellraiser. People call him Fat Pinhead. Look, I didn't say Stephen Collins was Fat Pinhead. People on the very nice interwebs said Stephen Collins was Fat Pinhead. I did not. We did get back, and this is going to explain probably my rankings, because this movie to me got back to closer to the first 3 Hellraisers than any of the other movies did, and that's the problem for me. I don't like that Hellraiser. I don't like that formula. I don't like what Clive Barker did. So you're going to be very surprised by the next few.
No, I'm not surprised at all. Now we know the cat's out of the bag, pal. Here we go. I love it. I love some disagreements. Okay, my number 28 is like Dustin. Seed of Chucky. This movie makes me irrationally angry. It freaking sucks so bad. The Glenn and Glenda thing, I don't quite get it. There's doll sperm. There's doll boobs. Even Jennifer Tilly's meta character of herself doesn't work for me. I hate it. It doesn't fit in this movie at all. The humor side of Chucky goes way too far. It floats into Freddy's dead territory, and I hate that about this movie. It pisses on the movie that came before it, which was an improvement in Bride of Chucky. So I just don't understand exactly what Seed of Chucky was trying to do. So that's why it's number 28.
All right, number 27 for me is Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. I wrote the club owner. He's a joke. The acting is pretty bad. The DJ killed by the CDs was pretty funny. I wrote several cool kills, actually. 15 to 20 minutes could be cut, and the non-pinhead Cenobites are very corny.
All right. My number 27, I got Hellraiser Bloodline, which is the one that came after the one you just said. It's the fourth installment. Again, what the hell is going on? We got multiple timelines here. And if there's one thing that Jason X should have taught all of us is that horror movies don't belong in space. This movie's just a two-pack of ass. Respectfully, Mike, respectfully.
Well, this movie I agree with you on. Very much so.
Yeah, it's just Bloodline. No.
All right, so we're on 27.
Yeah.
My number 27 is Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. Look, Kirsty's back, baby. You know, had kind of a lot of the same storyline to start out with as Elm Street 3, which came out a year before this, but it was just way less interesting to me. You know, I do appreciate Ashley Lawrence coming back. You know, Julia sucks in this one, I think. And honestly, I don't mind this movie until they get into hell or whatever the dimension that is or whatever. And you know, and maybe you would make this better with today with more money, but the effects definitely take me out of it. Doug Bradley has more to do in this one, but it's the hell parts, I think, that really do the most take me out of it. And that's most of this movie. So number 27.
Number 26, Brian, is Hellbound, Hellraiser.
Oh, you forgot Mike. You skipped Mike. You forgot
shit, my bad.
This is the second year in a row you guys have skipped my ass. I'm tired of this shit.
I heard it was me that skipped you last time.
I heard Hellbound. I was like, I agree. I'm going to roll right off with it.
You better calm down over there, Chin.
My bad.
My number 27 is Hellraiser Hellseeker. This brings back Ashley Lawrence for no reason. She basically has a cameo in this movie, and it sucks. The main guy is Milk Toast. The main guy character is Milk Toast. He's so boring and plain. I just can't stand him. This movie makes it to me, and that it's just boring. It's very boring. So number 27 is Hellseeker. And 95% of that movie is a dream. Like, there's all these dream sequences. I just don't understand the movie. Like, I don't think it makes any sense.
All right. Sorry, Mike, about skipping you. I really apologize.
Well,
I agree.
After that, no, I'm not. I'm glad. I wish we would have skipped you.
You're the next these later movies.
All right. Number 26 for me is Hellbound, Hellraiser. I pretty much agree with everything Brian said. I just wrote the skinless effects look pretty good, but the other effects are pretty awful. I thought the acting was pretty bad. The story stinks, and I thought it was way too long. I think it's like an hour and 50 minutes. It's too long.
My number 26 is Hellraiser Deader. It's the 7th installment. Honestly, this one, when I went to put my notes together, I didn't remember much about it. I remember that I hated the name, like Deader just sounds stupid. And then I remembered, oh yeah, now that I've watched it, I know why it's called Deader is because the cult following, like they're called Dead. Like, no, that sucked. You know, just because that's what's called in the movie, come up with something better than that. But since it doesn't stand out either way, I couldn't put it higher in my Hellraiser rankings. I couldn't put lower. It's just I had to put it somewhere. So I was like, well, it must be pretty run of the mill, pretty middle of the road. So I put it there. And then in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't stand out in my mind that it sucks worse than the 5 movies I've said so far. So we'll just go with it right there. 26, Deader.
Did Sean Irwin just write in the chat that Hellbound is better than Scream 3? Look,
I was going to ignore that.
Respectfully,
I'm
Sean,
going to ignore that.
If you made movies, it would be it would go bankrupt. The movie studio bankrupt. So, all right. So number 26.
Sean, I got some Hellbound love coming. Sean, hang in there.
Number 26, Hellraiser 1. I gave this thing a 4 when we reviewed it. Episode 19, by the way.
Hold on. I can mute you real quick.
Episode 19, by the way, on that, I very much so dislike this movie. It's just not my thing. I went into it pretty hard, if I remember, and say what you want. I'm about to make some people mad, but Clive Barker should stay away from this franchise because his movies are the worst one. There, I said it.
First of all these movies kind of stink, so everyone should stay away from the Hellraiser franchise. But okay, that's fine. My number 26 is Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. To me, it makes a big mistake in having Ped more likable than any other character. I just, for whatever reason, I don't like that. It's nonsense. There's a ton of camp, and it's not the good kind of. It's overdone. I hate it. And it's just not a lot of fun. And the same thing as Hellseeker. I just think this movie's boring as hell. It's too long. It's boring. And so that's why Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth is at number 26.
All right. 25 for me is Hellraiser 4, Bloodline. I like seeing Kim Myers from Nightmare on Elm Street 2.
You haven't said anything but Hellraiser.
Hey, it'll change next. Like seeing Kim
hilarious.
Myers from Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Slightly better acting. The dad's chain decapitation was cool. Still boring. Prequel in the 1700s and sequel in space. Pretty terrible, but then I just wrote, surprised this or 3 made it to theaters.
You said you had the hardest time ranking the bottom ones, but it looks like it was the easiest time to rank the bottom one.
You could have interchanged any from here to the end, and I really wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, me too. I agree.
Anywho, my number 25 is Hellraiser Hellseeker. It's the 6th installment. I thought when we were watching this, I thought that I remembered liking it more than I did.
Me too.
Especially once I started watching them and I get to part 4 and 5, and I remember, 6 is the one I kind of liked it more. But then I watched it, I was like, not really. And the reason is because it was a waste of Ashley Lawrence's return.
Yeah.
She should have had a much, Kirsty is finally back in the franchise after so many years away, and it's just, they dropped the ball. It wasn't a terrible movie, I don't think. It wasn't great at all. It wasn't good, but it wasn't the worst. So I got Hellseeker at number 25.
All right. Well, number 25 for me is Hellraiser 8, Hell World. Look, missed a chance to be deadest. Could have been Hellraiser Deadest. Yeah, just saying. So they tried to go meta with this one. It's almost kind of got a little bit of a House on Haunted Hill type idea. Lance Henriksen, freaking Bishop from Aliens franchise. I don't know why you have this one and not in part 4 when they're in fucking space. Just throwing that out there. That was a miscue there. Missed opportunity. But again, I think that this one had some potential. I love House on Haunted Hill, but like Deader, they fucked up bad with this script. I don't even know how this got made, to be honest. I understand, and I'll go into this a little bit later. I understand taking a script and kind of just throwing Hellraiser in it. That's my favorite ones actually that they do that with, but they don't, the parts they write don't even make sense. It doesn't even fit with the rest of the movie. It's crazy.
Okay. My number 25 is Cult of Chucky. Oh God, this movie breaks all the rules and I hate that for it. It goes back and kind of retcon stuff that doesn't need it. I don't like having multiple Chuckies. I don't think creative or scary. I think it's kind of lazy. I don't like how they have to cast a spell to get to that. It really bugs me. I like Fiona Dorff and I like Alex Vincent. Like they're in this movie together, but what they give them to do to me just sucks so bad. It's just like Seed of Chucky, where I want to like that movie, but you're not giving me any good reason. So Cult of Chucky is number 25.
All right, the moment everyone's been waiting for. Number 24 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. I don't really have much more to add to what everyone else said. The movie sucks. I literally only wrote the movie's terrible, and I only put it right here because I like Matthew McConaughey. That's
All
it.
right.
All right. My number 24 is piggybacking off of Mike's 25, Cult of Chucky, the 7th installment. It had the premise is so cool, right? Bringing back so many characters of movies past, bringing them all together in one storyline, but it was just so poorly executed. I mean, it come across as a cluster. and wasn't an enjoyable movie. So Cult
Which
of
one
Chucky
was that
one.
one? Oh,
Cult.
of Chucky. Gotcha. I gotcha. Okay. 24 for me is Hellraiser 7 Deader. I still don't understand what the fuck happened in this movie. Like I kept waiting and I'm still waiting. Like the other two to give me, a twist and fill in the story, but it never did. We joked off air about the meeting it took to come up with the name of this movie, Deader, which still cracks me up to think about. I mean, somebody was seriously like, let's do Hellraiser Dead. Nah. What about Deader? Got it. Money. So I don't even understand that at all. And this actually had my attention for a while, but lost me. I mean, this movie is awful. Carrie Wurr is in it from Anaconda, but there was just no saving this one.
Okay. My number 24 is Texas Chainsaw 3D. There's some stuff in this movie that I don't hate. I think some of the kills are okay and stuff, but man, this movie is so all over the place. It's like they tried to shove 3 or 4 movies. I don't like that. The scene at the carnival sucks. Trey Songz is awful in this. He cannot act. I like Trey Songz, but you got to stick to I Can't Help But Wait because you can't act, buddy. Like, that's not what we do. And I know, friend of the show, Adam Marcus is a director. I know some of his script got changed and all that stuff, and I feel bad for him, but he did not make a good Chainsaw movie here. So that's Chainsaw movie 3D. And again, it's just a hard finish. That's why it's so low to me, is because I just have a hard time finishing the film.
I told you, mine's going to surprise you, Mike.
All right, 23 for me is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. I just wrote Bill and Caroline were good. I would love to have either of them on our show. They're both horror legends. But it's 25 minutes too long. At least Leatherface is a joke. The whole movie is a joke to me, and I like my Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies a little more serious than this one.
Okay.
My number 23 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. What a piece of shit. So it's just such a letdown from the original.
Yeah,
they went a complete opposite direction.
Yeah,
same director.
The first one. Yeah, but why take it this direction? Why make a joke out of something so promising, something so iconic? I will never watch this movie again. The guys laugh in the car when they're riding and calling in the radio show. That scene alone, his laugh was enough to make me want to turn the movie off. And then I powered through that, and if that wasn't enough to make you want to turn it off, Stretch's screams will make you want to turn it off when she's captured. It's just, I hate that Bill Moseley is in this movie because he's one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite horror actors. No secret, he's in one of the greatest trilogies of all time.
All of Rob Zombie's movies, every one of them.
Yeah, but I just hate that he's affiliated with such a turd, even though his character was great.
So his character's awesome. His character's great.
That movie sucked.
I'm going to go completely different from you guys. And number 23 for me is Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. I was almost like, obviously, like, what the fuck am I watching whenever this came in? But it's almost like it reminds me a little bit of Return of the Living Dead to me, where it was just so different and kind of just over the top. I was honestly shocked to learn Tobe Hooper did it. And, Caroline Williams, a stretch, I liked her. Friend of the show, Bill Moseley, like Dustin just said, I get the dark comedy and what they were going for. And Moseley does that very well. He really does. It just didn't resonate with me. I'm sorry, guys. I respect it, honestly, but that type of movie is just not for me.
No.
I understand. It'll be much higher on my list. My number 23 is Hellraiser Inferno. There's barely any Pinhead in this movie. I think it could use more Pinhead, to be honest. It's basically an episode of CSI, and they just shove Pinhead in the script, and I don't like it. It
sounds great.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It isn't for me. This movie looks kind of cool. This is like the backdrop and the cinematography and the setting. It has a cool look. I just don't think the movie is very good. It's again just a little boring, which I keep saying with this Hellraiser franchise. So number 23 is Hellraiser Inferno.
All right, 22 for me is Hellraiser Hellseeker. Bunch of false jump scares, constant dream to reality sequences. Movie just gets kind of monotonous to me. There's better acting, and the ending confused me. Where guy's gunshot wound in his head, and how did Kirsty just walk away free? But I wrote, at least you get Pinhead and Kersey again.
My number 22 is Hellraiser Judgment. I thought it was a decent comeback. It's better than anything the franchise have put out in years, and it's got some of the best cinematography in the franchise. Like, there's some good shots in it, and some good looks at Pinhead. But overall, it could have been a lot better. And I feel like that's the one thing that you could say about Pinhead or the franchise in general is that there's so much wasted potential. I think there's a lot of potential with the character and a lot of potential with what they could do, but it's just like never lived up to the hype in any of the movies or lived up to what it could be. And this is a good example of that. Decent, but just not very good.
Number 22 for me is Cult of Chucky. Look, after how much I loved Curse and how it actually got me back into the franchise after I was far gone, and knowing that we're getting Alex Vincent back here, cameo at the end from friend of the show, Christina Lees. I'm not sure I could have honestly been more disappointed with this movie. I said this during our Curse review, but it bears repeating. I'm not sure how with the same writer that this series got so damn convoluted, but God Almighty, I mean, this is right there at the bottom to me. Fiona Dourif, though, and the acting with everyone involved, honestly, I liked a lot. It was just the general story is what I had an issue with. I hate the going against your own writing by Mancini. Man, we got to pick this at some point to review. I mean, it may be one of those that I need to give more chances, but right now it's 22.
No, you don't need to see it again. It's fine, buddy. Number 22, Hell Bloodline. Look, I'll give Bloodline a little bit of credit for being vicious. They took a lot of risk. I didn't like those risks, but I always like to give a movie credit for when it tries to do something different. This movie definitely does that. 3 timelines. It's very difficult to follow. A lot of the movie, I don't quite understand what's going on. Still have a question about what this movie is exactly about. Kind of like with the other Hellraiser movie, which I'm forgetting. Deader. I also kind of get confused by Deader, but I actually liked it a little more, as you see. But Angelique is an awesome character, so that's why it's not as low as those other Hellraiser movies. So I'll take Hellraiser 22.
All right, number 21 for me is Hellraiser Judgment, a crime detective film based on the 10 Commandments. Sounds kind of familiar.
Sounds a little familiar.
Anyway, the acting is better than the previous films and looks way better. Most of the effects are good except the final kill. Still not great in my opinion, but it's better than the previous ones.
If 7 was based on the 10 Commandments, it would have been called 10. Come on.
It's called, I know, 7 Deadly Sins. Same damn thing.
Not even close, but okay.
Not even close.
Don't try that. Don't try that.
My number 21.
I got it higher.
My number 21 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. You mentioned a lot of it. I mean, friend of the show, Adam Marcus. Great interview, great guy, but this
awesome, fantastic.
Just didn't get this one right. Anytime you try to build sympathy for the villain, just doesn't work. It's just not for me. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D, the 7th installment in that franchise.
All right, so number 21 for me, this is the last entry that I have in these movies stink. I never want to watch them again. So this is, I think, the best of the worst. Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. To me, it's the first ever Dimension Films release, which, hey, that gets credit because it needs to stand for something because Dimension gave us Scream. But this is the nightclub one, right? I think, yeah. So Terry Farrell is in this from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And, I guess they give Pinhead a little more to do, but the plot line with his human self and this whole, I don't know, this whole thing stinks to me. The club massacre scene was okay. But after years in development hell, I guess I expected more from this. Again, number 21, my last in my third tier. Mike, you are on mute, sir.
Glad you said that. My number 21 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, Leatherface. This movie is boring. That's its ultimate sin to me. There's some decent kills. I don't mind the portrayal of Leatherface, and you get Viggo Mortensen, but this movie does not do anything. It doesn't say anything. It's not very creative. It's very, like I said about some of these other movies, it's very go pick up a VHS at Superstar Video on a Saturday night because you want to see a horror movie. And I just think that's kind of a disservice to this franchise that has better movies after it and better movies before. This movie it's a boring watch. It's long for no reason at all. So number 21, it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
All right, number 20 for me is Leatherface 2017. I wrote, this feels like the longest 1 hour and 27-minute movie ever. I respect Lily Taylor from The Conjuring, but she couldn't even save this movie. I thought it was just overly violent to be overly violent. The acting is just meh, annoying characters. I hated the mental hospital strobing lights, and I just wrote it's just not enjoyable.
So, like Brian, this is really the cutoff. This is the last one of the movies I just like, nah, I'm probably not ever going to watch that again. My number 20 in my list is Child's Play 2019 remake. It's just such a disappointment to the franchise. It didn't need a remake. You could continue, or you could, I don't know. It just didn't need it. The cast was good though, and I like the Han Solo joke. What's your name? Han Solo? Chucky. But anyway, and Aubrey Plaza, like I said, call me sometime, hit the DMs. Call me, answer my DMs is what I'm saying. I've sent several. Anyway, the movie just sucked. And the look of the doll alone is enough to make me just irrationally mad.
Yes.
So.
Yes. All right, so now I'm in a it's a pretty big jump for me, like I said, to this second tier. These movies right here, they don't stink to me anymore. Like they're okay. I'm actually going to sit down. If you wanted to sit down and watch this one, Mike, I would sit down with you and watch it. Hellraiser 4, Bloodline, number 20. Look, first thing I wrote was fucking space, but I actually, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I actually did learn something on this one though, and credit to horrible reviews like Nico shouted out earlier, who we had on the show, by the way.
Yeah.
But this one was directed by Alan Smithy, who I learned from him is a pseudonym for when a director wants to disassociate himself completely from a movie. Adam Scott is in this, and it had some potential, and I will say, but and I'm the sci-fi guy in this group. I know. I mean, I'm the only sci-fi guy in this, really. So it did.
I'm right there.
You would definitely be the closest one of anybody.
I like it.
Yeah, true. Look, it did keep my attention over the first three with the interwoven storyline that we've seen a million times in other things like Star Trek. I get that, but it wasn't horrible to me. Number 20 is Hellraiser Bloodline.
Okay, my number 20 is Hellraiser Deader. For whatever reason, this movie I just like a little bit more than guys, I guess. Not much, though. I mean, we're stretching it thin here just by a razor thin margin. It's a crime drama with Pinhead in it. And I think for whatever reason, this one works a little bit better than the ones that also do that's below it. I don't hate the main plot. I just think the worst parts of this movie are the ones with Pinhead in them, and that's not a good thing for your franchise. So Hellraiser Deader is my number 20.
Well, Mike, maybe off air you can explain to me what the fuck the plot was, if you don't mind.
I'm out of time. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Tony Schiavone.
Thank you.
All right, number 19 for me is Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, number 3. I wrote Ken Foray is cool and a legend, but he's also a terrible runner. Leatherface looks terrible. This family is annoying. It's a short movie, but still drags at points. Leatherface is playing a toddler learning game. Shake my head. Movie just doesn't have that dark, creepy feel, and it's not a serious slasher.
Okay. Dustin, before you go, can I get a little Joe Grizzly, bitch? All right. Fine. There we go.
I actually wrote that in my notes for that movie. I was going to say shout out to Mike and Joe Grizzly. My number 19 is a movie that is a prime example of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because that's exactly what it did. Child's Play 3. It's just two. Child's Play 1 and 2 were good, and then 3 they're just like, okay, how can we do the exact same thing? It's like, let me copy your homework, but okay, just make sure it's not noticeable. Okay, let's put it in a military school. Right. They really amped up the comedy dialogue from Chucky in this one. There were so many ripoffs of Full Metal Jacket and some of the dialogue from them. This movie just I don't hate it. this is on that tier that I would watch it again, but it's just they could have done so much better.
I think me and Sean Irwin just actually agreed on something crazy. Anyway, my number 19 is this may hurt some people's feelings here, but it's the original 1974 Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Look, I mean, it's okay, and I don't know this to be true.
Wait, what did you just say?
I mean, it's all right. It's okay.
No, what movie did you say? I don't think I heard it right.
It's we'll talk about it. When you listen back to the podcast, you'll hear it.
I definitely listen.
But look, I'm trying. Yeah, you definitely do. I'm trying to relate this to something, and I think this is how Nico thinks of the original Friday the 13th. I respect this one for what it did, but I don't know. I just don't. It's just okay to me. A few things I think it did get right. I think the 03 remake did better. So I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for this, but I don't know. I'm just not really a fan. It's just okay because it's short.
Okay. All right. Okay. Jesus Christ. I'm going to take a swig of beer and collect myself.
Swig of beer for the working man.
I told you I was going to surprise some people.
Okay. My number 19 is Hellraiser Hellworld.
Sorry, Bob.
That's okay. My number 19 is Hellraiser Hellworld. Very late 90s, early 2000s movie. They kind of turned Pinhead into a slasher, and guess who liked me? So, because of that, I like Hellworld a little bit more than these other Hellraiser movies. I look, it's not great, but it goes against the norm movies, which I don't like for the most part. And this one has like a little bit of a slasher edge to it. So Hellworld is number 19. By the way, this is kind of my number 19 right here. Hellworld is where my next tier is, where it's like, I like the movie. Well, I kind of like it. I don't hate it. Everything below this, if I never see them again, I'm totally fine with that. So this is my next tier, starting with Hellworld.
Sorry, Michaela McCraney. Please don't stop listening. I'm sorry.
Please don't do that.
I'm sorry.
Is that on Facebook or Twitter?
Facebook. All right. So number 18 for me. I might sound like a little bit of a hypocrite for what I said the other night with our Halloween kills.
Probably
the comment I read, but number 18 for me is the 2019 Child's Play. If I'm being objective, the movie is not terrible, but kind of like Brian said, if you don't call this movie Child's Play and make it a Chucky doll, it's a lot better to me. But sorry, Mark Hamill. Brad Dourif is Chucky. You're not Chucky. I hate your look.
Hey, wait. Do you know who Mark Hamill is?
He's someone in Star Wars.
Well, close enough. That was close enough. Not bad.
But anyway, I'm a traditionalist when it comes to Chucky. I'm sorry.
All right. My number 18 is Hellraiser Hellworld. I think it's a decent movie. It's an okay enough movie, but it's got a good look. It looks a lot better quality than some of the movies in the franchise. Cinematography's decent. It's got some decent acting in it, but there's just not enough Pinhead. And when your main attraction isn't prominent enough, it kind of feels like a waste. This movie would be higher to me, honestly, but Hellworld's number 18.
All right, so my number 18, I'm pretty much right there with you, Dustin, is Child's Play 3. It's just okay. I love the continuity with Andy. I hate that they didn't get Alec Vincent back for this one, but obviously that's because the time jump was 8 years, and this movie really came out like less than a year after the second one did. So, which is honestly just bizarre. But hey, yeah. Brad Dourif, get paid, my man. Look, not a fan, really. I mean, it's just okay, but I definitely like it better than a few others. The budget restrictions I know made this not as good as honestly it could have been. Actually, I think Mancini takes the original idea for this one and kind of puts it in cult, but instead of like blood infected plastic, I think we get, the bullshit that we got with cult. So anyway, Child's Play 3 is 18.
I'm right there with you guys. My number 18, Child's Play 3. Listen, this may be a hot take, but I actually like this movie. I kind of like, the only reason it's so low is for the exact same reason that Dustin said, which is it's the same movie as the first two. It doesn't do anything original and different. So yeah. I kind of got to knock it down. But some of the knocks you had against it, I actually like. I actually like the military school setting. I think it's different enough, at least. So and you get an older Andy, which I know you don't get Alex Vincent, but come on, the time jump doesn't out for that. So I don't hate the movie. I like some of the side characters in this movie too. It's just so stock, so very 80s horror movie, and I think because of that, it just doesn't do anything. It's not saying anything. It's not doing anything. It's just so middle of the road, and so that's why I have it in the middle of the road right here, number 18.
Sorry, Mike. I'm laughing at the comments. Matt Sears said, "Someone in Star Wars." Wow.
Come on, bro.
Is he wrong? Where's the lie?
I mean, it's true.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
I don't watch Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Can you guess who he is?
I don't either.
In Star Wars?
Yeah, give me a guess. You got Star Wars sneakers.
Not
Star
you,
Wars
Matt.
sneakers,
Not
so
you, Matt.
Give me a guess.
Or I mean,
I sold those. I don't have them no more.
Come on, you got to know a character.
I don't know who he plays.
Okay, all right. I was just trying to get a guess out of you.
I'm pretty. And Mark Hamill and Robert Englund like really good friends, or didn't like one recommend another for a job or something?
I think you're thinking of Bacon.
No, Mark Hamill or Robert Englund.
I think you're right. I think you're right. He talked about that in his
recommended each
interview
other for a job or something.
Yeah,
I can't remember. I'll look it up later. But
Correct,
anywho,
Matt. He is Jar Jar.
Number 17 for me is Cult of Chucky. What can I say about this that y'all haven't said? I'm not a fan of it. I remember this was on my old Twitter account when this movie first came out. I watched it on Netflix. I just tweeted that movie sucked. I hated it. It's so disappointing too because Curse of Chucky was such a, like Brian said, a breath of fresh air. It was a great movie, and then you followed up with just it confuses me honestly. I don't like Cult of Chucky.
All right, my number 17 is Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. I think this is a pretty good movie. Honestly, when you're watching these in order, you're not getting really worse, in my opinion. So I think the franchise still has a lot of hope. And then it takes a pretty steep drop off at fourth installment. So 3 is where the wheels are still on before it falls off. I can watch Hellraiser 3.
Bob said Cult is dumpster juice.
It's absolutely dumpster juice, Bob. Thank you.
That is a good way to look at it because dumpster, all the different ingredients, you don't know what the juice is. It's just a bunch of juice of various parts.
Yes.
All right. Well, number 17 for me, Bride of Chucky. And honestly, this kind of surprised me how high I ranked it, even though, I've said many times I don't like it, but I guess just doing these rankings, it's in my tier that I would sit down and watch again. I think after reviewing it, it went up a little bit in my eyes. Again, another one I've definitely given my opinion on. I gave it a 5.5, I think, when we reviewed it. Honestly, that says a lot about this list to have it somewhat in the middle. Very disappointing the route that this movie took, but I'll just point you to that review kind of for the rest of my opinions on that one.
Let's see. Sorry about that. We're at number 17, correct? My number 17 is Hellraiser 2, Hellbound. I don't hate this movie. I think it's okay. It takes a lot of what the first movie does and kind of turns the volume. And I think some of that is good and says not good. I'll point you to our Hellraiser review because some of the like weird BDSM and that in the first one gets kind of turned up a little bit in the second one. And it's just kind of a weird film. But I do think the acting is pretty strong. I think the cinematography is good. So there's some things to like here. And I think the plot is at least kind of original. These are some of the better looking Cenobites to me, or as I like to call them, Cinnabons, because that's what I think of when I hear them. So yeah, I don't think Hellraiser terrible. It's definitely better than every other Hellraiser movie that I put behind it. So Hellraiser 2 is my number 17.
All right, here's my part on the list where it gets to where I actually enjoy the movies or like them, I guess you could say. Number 16 for me is the original Hellraiser. After our review of the movie, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but just thinking back on it, it's not as terrible as I thought it was. I just went into the movie not really knowing what Hellraiser was about. I didn't watch the trailer or anything. I expected more Pinhead, but it's a decent concept and it's not as bad as I thought it was. I will say I'm positive of the first Hellraiser.
Episode 19, by the way, it's our Hellraiser review.
Yeah, I wish I was a part of that episode so I could defend its honor.
Yeah, because I pooped all over it, pal.
Nico, it's nice to hear you say some nice things about the franchise just now. That was the nicest you've ever been. My number 16 is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3, Leatherface. This movie's not good, but it's not bad, and it's not enough storyline. That's what it is. This is just a lot of violence, but not enough to keep you entertained. It does get pretty boring. I liken this. This movie is right along the lines of Halloween Kills and Terrifier in the way that it just doesn't advance enough to make you care. It's just there's some pretty cool looking fucking violence in it, pretty good gore, but that's really all you get in it is a lot of violence.
Yeah, so number 16 for me is Child's Play 2. It's actually episode 36 that we reviewed. I gave this one a 6.5, I think, as well. I will say you should go listen to our review with star Christina Leese also over at don'tgooutthere.com.
Yeah, we have an interview with her, and she was great, by the way. She's awesome.
Right, yeah. It's pretty much all I can say on this without repeating myself too much or not doing it justice. But Child's Play 2, 16, middle of the pack, not too bad.
And also, real quick, I didn't liken that movie to Halloween Kills to shit on either. I'm just saying because I liked Halloween Kills a lot more than I liked
That's okay.
Texas Chainsaw Part 3. What I mean is just like how there's not really a thick storyline.
Yeah. No, I got you. Okay.
Mike and Dustin and Bob apparently is a big wrestling fan. If you just read that comment,
Abyss.
Hey, Abyss. All right. Honestly, Abyss and Leatherface are basically the same person. I've never seen them in the same place, so you tell me. Anyway, okay. So I'm right there with you, Brian. My number 16 is Child's Play 2. I wasn't on for that review. I missed that one. So I have just some very, very quick thoughts. I know a lot of people love this movie, and I get why. It takes the first movie and kind of turns the volume, I said, about Hellraiser 2. But the last 40-ish minutes of this movie drags for a long time to me. It becomes extremely boring. Now, like Christina Leese, I like, Barclays and, Alex Vincent's portrayal and all of that stuff. Like, I kind of like the plot a little bit. But for me, this is almost too not too much Chucky, because I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. But I think the first movie kind of hides Chucky for a while, gets it, and then they kind of have the reveal. And this movie doesn't have that tension, that buildup. It's just we're right out the gate. We're a laughing doll that kills people. And so for me, it just kind of falls a little flat. But I don't be at all. I would watch it again. It's just not one of my favorites in the franchise. So, yeah, my number 16, Child's Play.
All right, before I go with number 15, I'm just going to give a giveaway opportunity real quick to anybody watching live. If you can comment all 4 of our number ones and get it right, I'll buy you any T-shirt we have on our website.
Hey, but anywho, we had some brand new T-shirts on there.
That's true. We do.
Number 15 for me. Hope I don't get yelled at, but I chose Scream 3.
Oh my God!
It's not a terrible movie, but I'm just not a big Scream fan. But it's still not like Mike and Brian and Dustin have all said in the past. If Scream 3 is your worst movie in the franchise, it's really not that bad. It just doesn't do much for me, and I've kind of always felt like the Scream sequels were kind of pointless. But go ahead.
Sorry, I'm a little flabbergasted by what you just said. My number 15 is Leatherface. I like the attempt to try to show a backstory to Leatherface. Some people don't like that when you get villain origin stories. I can appreciate it. And I like how this one kind of has you guessing about it. It's like Mike said before I'd watched it, I saw your text that said it's kind of a whodunit. And I kind of liked it once. I was unsure. When you said that, and Brian had a all-time comment. He goes, "You mean it's not, spoiler alert, Leatherface?" Like, I laughed my ass off when you said that. But I like how they went about the movie. Kind of has you second guessing some things and trying to piece place together. I don't hate it. And also shout out to Steven Dorff. I'm pretty sure I like him a lot more than the rest of my co-hosts on this show. And I thought he was fantastic in Blade. So I had to rank this one a little bit higher just because of that. So Leatherface is 15.
Stinks in Blade, pal. Anyway,
shut up.
All right, so number 15 for me is the other Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 3. Friend of the show, Kane Hodder, actually, I understand, worked on this film some, doing some stunt work. For somebody like me who isn't very well versed on this franchise at all, I think Mike is the Texas Chainsaw guru on this show. At least he makes me think he is. If he's not,
no, I am.
But it being called Leatherface confused me. I guess having two of them, but I get it now because New Line did that shit with horror franchises all that they bought like crazy. Viggo Mortensen is in this one. I didn't hate it. It was just okay. That same Texas Chainsaw plot. It at least did feel like a Texas Chainsaw movie a little bit to me. I finally got to see what I've been wanting to see on film, which was somebody just fucking mowing down the Sawyer family house with a Predator-like barrage of bullets. So that was cool. Very cool fucking opening. Leatherface looks more like the remake one, and I love those ones. So of the first three, this one was my favorite. Other Sawyer family plot point, I actually didn't mind. It made sense to me.
That leads me to a fun fact. I'm pretty sure Kane Hodder is technically the only person to play Jason, Freddy, and Leatherface on screen, if I'm not mistaken. He's the only person. So that's a pretty fun fact right there by Kane Hodder. Okay, my number 15 is the original Hellraiser. I said all I need in our review. I will say, upon recent rewatch, I like it more than I did when we did that review. I don't like it a lot more, but I like it more than I did when we did the movie review. Probably the other Hellraiser movies drug me to drink alcohol, and this one does. So maybe, but I love the cinematography of this film. I think they use Pinhead correctly. He's not overdone. He's not overshot. It's just, his reveal is good. I like it. Pinhead's just not my favorite villain, man. That your grandma uses to thread needle with, and I just don't think it's a very interesting look. My opinion. But to me, this has the best plot. It's got some of the best acting in the franchise, and it's got some really cool kills. So Hellraiser is number.
And I would like to just say that nobody who has guessed the four top ones has been correct. That's in the chat. Everybody's wrong.
Yep, because mine is not a Scream movie.
We know.
Spoiler alert. That doesn't mean I hate the first Scream or not, but it's just not my number one. Number 14.
Already knew, buddy.
No, I'm laughing at that comment. Matt Sears said the Child's Play storyline is more consistent than Mike's internet connection.
It's awful. It's terrible. I know. It's been good lately till this evening. I don't get it.
All right, Jennifer Kramer, I apologize for this next one, but number 14 for me, which is still pretty decent on the list, but I chose Scream 2. I think this movie is okay. I think it's, you get the Fab 3 again. I think the opening scene is just okay compared to the first one. You got the famous singing scene that I know y'all three love, but yeah. I just think Scream 2 is okay.
Boy, howdy.
And I'm going to get flamed for my next two picks by you guys, but it's all good.
Let me guess, 2 more Scream movies?
No. I'm not that disrespectful.
My 14th, this is where the tiers shift again for me. The top 14 are all movies that I actually would go out of my way to watch again.
Oh, wow.
This one, number 14, is one that I like it the least of these top 14. It's not one that I don't think I would say, hey, I got to watch this movie. But if it's on, I'd probably click over to it because I've watched it since we reviewed it. Trick or Treat. So I told you guys on the review, it's okay. I can definitely see the appeal of it, but I just didn't love it like I've heard so many people love it. Go check out our full review of that movie to hear why. But I do say that I've watched it since we reviewed it, and I enjoyed it more. So it's growing on me. Maybe it's one of those, the more I watch it, it's going to become one of those, now I got to watch it every October. I hope I get that way because I know a lot of people love it.
Right.
And the casting's great. So Trick or Treat, my number 14. There's our bonus one for this episode.
Yeah, so my number 14 is the original 1988 Child's Play. I gave this one the lowest of everybody ranking it whenever we reviewed this way back then. I gave it a 6.5. It's actually episode number 6 on our list. It's a long time ago. I probably think that's pretty close to what I think about it now, 6.5. Not a whole lot to say much more about that I haven't already said in our review. So it's just number 14. It's all right.
I'm right there with Dustin. Number 14 kind of starts my would win tier. would go out of my way. Now, the original Hellraiser, I would probably sit through again if I had to, but I think 14 is kind of I enjoy these movies enough to go out and see them again. My number 14 is Bride of Chucky. We broke this down in great detail, so I don't have to go over it a ton. But I love meta horror. I think it's awesome. It gives the old tingle in the balls. Sometimes if I'm like, I get that reference. All right, that's good. And so there's some of that with meta horror, and there's a lot of that in this movie. Plot's a little all over the place. The couple dating and he's kidnapped her and all that. But I just so I actually like Chucky and Tiffany in this movie as if I don't and see the Chucky, so there's a little bit of a difference there. So I think it's a fun child's play movie. So that's what I'll say. So number 14 is Bride of Chucky.
All right, so lucky number 13 for me. Before I get laughed at, I chose the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D. I saw this movie in theaters when it came out. If you listen to our Adam Marcus interview, I told him the story about why it was so special that night for me. I'm not going to say it now, but go listen to the interview. But anyway, I fully acknowledge some of the 3D and the effects are not great, especially at the end when the guy's in the meat grinder. It looks terrible, but the cast is recognizable. It's not a great movie, but it's watchable to me at least. And I really do like the opening scene where the people are destroying the house. I think it's pretty cool.
All right, so my number 13 is right there with Mike. It's Bride of Chucky. When we reviewed this one in full, I gave a lot of my thoughts on it. Shout out to John Ritter. Katherine Heigl is fine as frog hair. But this movie's got a lot of flaws, but it's very watchable. It's funny as hell. I don't need the sex scene at all. Like, stop doing that. Stop giving me, unless you're Team America World Police, I don't need a doll or puppet sex
America, fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. But I would watch this movie again though, for sure, because it is entertaining. So you can be a bad movie and get me to watch it, just be entertaining. And this one fits the bill.
Absolutely.
Yep. And by the way, Michaela, I think Nico's talking about our number ones on this show with these franchises, like in 13 more picks, like what our number ones will be. All right, so my number 13, Hellraiser 5, Inferno. Look, I mean, I don't have a problem with them using these scripts like this. I mean, it's got a lot of Die Hard feel. Die Hard feel did that shit too. Sasha Bareilles, I think, is good in this one to me from the Hangover movies. It was actually good in The Ring, and I don't remember what she played. I think she played one of the girls in there. But Dustin and Mike may remember her from Boy Meets World as Jonina. She was in an episode. Yeah. I don't hate this movie mostly because it doesn't resemble what we know of Hellraiser movies. It's a crime movie, like you said, a good director, and one of my favorites in the franchise. Probably, I thought it was a cool little twist.
And by the way, you can listen to our full review of The Ring at don'tgoouthere.com. Sorry, I beat you to it, Brian. I beat you to it. Okay, my number 13. You guys had a lot lower, man. My number 13 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I like this movie a decent amount. I think it's just you have to go in knowing what it is. If you watch the first one and then right after you watch this one, I see why you wouldn't like that movie. Totally understand.
That's what I did.
I understand. Trust me, I get it. But I love the dark comedy. I think the take on Leatherface is interesting. It's different. By the way, Bill Moseley just makes this movie for me, man. His Shock Top character memorable. I'm not going to quote. I don't want to do a full-on impersonation. My throat kind of hurts. So obviously I can't do a full-on Shock Top, but I love it, man. I think it's a good dark black comedy. Like, I think it's really it. And now I will fully admit, and I said it in the chat, that it's probably not a very good horror movie. Like, I understand that. But for a movie that could kind of keep my interest and make me laugh, I think it fits right in here. Look, I don't love it, but I definitely like it. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is number 13.
All right, so I'm probably going to get laughed at, but that's fine. Number 12 for me. Look at my shirt. I'm the biggest fan of the franchise. I picked Seed of Chucky. Fully acknowledge it's not great, but I have nostalgia toward this movie just because it was one of the first movies I ever downloaded off of BearShare and watched it on my computer. I fully understand if you walk away, that's fine. But you get Jennifer Tilly, You get Mike's gone. Hey, you go in three turns. You better come back. You get Chucky. You get I can't even remember his wife's name. Jennifer Tilly. You get all of the whole movie. I enjoy it more than anyone else. I get it. It's all good.
Why's the kid gray? All right. My number 12 is in the same franchise, Nico. I went with Curse of Chucky. I thought this was a good revamping of the franchise. I hate that I missed the review when you guys did it, but when I watched it then, and then I rewatched it again since that episode, because I remembered I enjoyed it more. Or I'd only seen it once before, and I don't even think I really paid attention to it. So then when we're going to review it, I watched it, enjoyed it, and then watched it again since then. So all in all, I've seen it probably 2.5 times, I'd say. And I plan on watching a lot more. It's my number 12, Curse of Chucky.
These next three for me are probably going to surprise you guys. Number 12 for me is Leatherface. Look, usually I'm not a fan of prequels, but I didn't hate this as much as I really expected to. Jessica Madsen, I thought, was tremendous in this. I wasn't a fan of the unnecessary twist, I think, but I'll get into that more because I'm sure this is going to be picked down the road.
Yes, it is.
Didn't mind that one.
Okay, here come the tomatoes at me. Here we go, baby. Yes, this is a boot. This man, and it stinks. My number 12 is the Child's Play remake from 2019. Look, I don't have any nostalgia for the Child's Play franchise. I'm not a purist with it. It doesn't resonate with me in that way. I like Chucky. I think he's a good villain. I love Brad motherfucking Dorff, as I so eloquently name him on this show. I love him. I love all the voice. I love that character of Chucky. But it was interesting to me, to see a different take on that character, to see a different take on the first Child's Play. I just think they did a lot. I like the cast. I think the cast is good. I like the more modern feel, and I don't mind, if you've never seen this for you, I don't mind Chucky being a quote unquote robot instead of a doll. Like I'm okay with that. And there's just some stuff that they did that I thought was okay. The tweaks don't bug me like this. I get it. So like me as a Halloween purist, if someone likes Halloween 5, I totally think that sucks and screw you. But so I get it. But I actually liked it quite a bit.
Explain this to me. If that movie's so great, why they got a watermelon patch in Chicago in the winter?
Buddy, I didn't say it was great. Top 10 is where my really good movies start, buddy. Come on. That's not true. I have an movie in my. It's a little risky here.
Oh, shit, I forgot it was my turn.
Yeah, all right, good guy, Nico. Let's go.
Number 11 is Child's Play 3. I don't hate this movie by any means, but I don't love it. I just enjoy it for what it is. I've always said, like I said in Halloween 4, what makes a great slasher to me is a great portrayal. I think Brad Dorff I thought he was funny, even if he was a little over the top. I like the Chucky character. Child's Play 3, I mean, I thought it was pretty decent at the military base. I thought it was decent.
It's not bad.
Number 11, I've got Hellraiser. This is the introduction of an iconic villain. There's great special effects, especially for the time, I think. I think a lot of that looks pretty good. This is a cult classic film. I hate that you guys reviewed this movie before I got to come aboard, but I'm here to carry the Hellraiser flag and torch now. So, yeah, shout out to Pinhead and Hellraiser.
Okay.
All right. Well,
sorry, Brian.
It's my turn. It's my turn.
Almost skipped you. My turn to skip someone.
You got to look. I got to give you the chance to throw tomatoes at me. So number 11 for me, Hellraiser 10, Judgment. Look, friend of the show and new Pinhead, Paul T. Taylor, much closer to Doug Bradley, and I think he did a much better job than Collins did in 9. Also, friend of the show, Heather Langenkamp has a cameo in this. Come on. Almost attempt here to like merge the first 3 and what I personally loved about Hellseeker and Inferno, with it being like a psychological murder mystery type thing with a plot twist. After the last 3, this was a welcome entry for me, to be quite honest. Hard time ranking this one and 5, but I mean, obviously I liked them both.
Man, it's so weird that your number 11 is my number 30. we do a show together. That's what makes it fun. All right, my number 11 is Scream 3. I don't hate this movie, but I certainly don't love this movie. You know, Nico kind of touched on all its problems, and we're going to pick that movie down the road just because I think it's an interesting episode. But to me, Scream 3 kind of messes with what makes Scream 1 and Scream 2 good. Now, the more I watch Scream 2, the less I kind of like Scream 2, but I still like it more than Scream 3 for sure. Look, Scream 3 just does too much. It tries to retcon too many things. It sticks, characters and storylines in places that I don't think is necessary. It answers questions we weren't asking. Now, Brian pitched a prequel that would make Scream 3 a whole lot more meaningful and great, by the way, which you should listen to at, Brian?
don'tgooutthere.com/underthemask, which is our blog.
Thank you. You should read it and then listen to our episode because that is perfect for what would make Scream 3 a great film. But guess what? It's not. So I just don't. This is Stab 3, and they're on the set of Stab 3. Like, there's I love meta, but this is a little too. I don't know. There's just a lot. It's very convoluted, and we don't get enough Sidney Prescott for me, and that's one of the reasons I tune into the Scream franchise. Is Sidney Prescott? Nev Campbell, call me sometime.
Sean Irwin gave Judgment 11 plays. Look, can I change my pick? If Sean picked it there, it's got to be wrong.
Well, that's why I was just dying laughing when Mike was talking, and it was because I saw that comment, and I was waiting for Brian to just quit the show.
I quit.
All right, number 10 for me. Scream 4.
Respectfully.
Oh, respectfully, number 10 for me is Scream 4. We reviewed this last year. I like the movie. Don't love the movie. I love the fact that it's darker, it's more violent, but it still doesn't. I don't know. Scream franchises don't hit like that for me, except for the first one.
This man.
Hey, it's okay.
I'm not sure I like you anymore, man. I'm not sure
I like Scream 4. Anymore. I don't love Scream 4.
Damn, that's crazy.
Jennifer Kramer, I'm so sorry. I gave it a 6.5.
I mean, you can still listen to us. Just skip Nico's.
I gave it a 6.5 on the review. That's not terrible.
Hey, just fast forward through Nico Chin, man. Jesus Christ.
Brian just had like Hellraiser.
Relax. This had nothing to do with
we pooped on him too. No, we pooped on him as well.
I think we're all doing a great job, and I'm just glad we're having fun.
All right, man. You're right.
Participation trophies will be handed out tonight.
My number 10,
everybody.
My number 10 is Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. I think that for the things we wanted more of in the first movie, this one gave it to us. Like Mike said, it amps everything up and intensifies a lot. I think this is a really good movie. When I'm reading when I'm looking at other people's reviews of Hellbound or their rankings for the franchise, they consistently have Hellraiser as the best one. And I think you guys all do too. But I like the second one a lot more. And maybe because this is the one that I can remember as a small child sneaking in the living room, have no business watching it, getting scared shitless. And this is the movie. So maybe that's why. But I like Hellbound.
I do not have it as the best one.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, it's my turn. All right, so number 10 for me, again, probably one I'll get tomatoes thrown out. Texas Chainsaw 3D. Look, so this one, like a few of the Hellraiser movies I hadn't seen before we did this ranking. Shocked me how much against the grain I am with it. I know this one gets so much hate. We discussed it in our interview with Adam Marcus, just a touch, and some stuff he wishes he could have done differently now, like Dustin touched on. But as you can see, I don't hate this. Besides the 3D aspect, which I do hate in movies, the flashback beginning I absolutely love. Alexander Daddario. Gotta love Alexander Daddario. Scott Eastwood. I mean, I love how they bring back Mosley even to play the dad. Marilyn Burns, Gunnar Hansen, all back for this one. I'm definitely gonna pick this one down the road. I have a lot of thoughts, but I actually like this one.
That's fine. My number 10 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. We reviewed this one in detail, so I don't have to go into it a ton. But it's a movie to me. Normally, I don't like prequels, and I don't particularly like some of the prequel aspects of this film because it's answering questions I wasn't asking. Like, I particularly don't care what makes the Hewitt family, but I like a lot of the acting. I like a lot of the characters that come back from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 03, which, this movie has a lot of R. Lee Ermey, and I could take that all freaking day. He's so good in this movie. He's basically the main villain in this film. I said that in our review. And I think to me that's interesting. It's a little different. The side plot of, the brothers, which one is the hero, which one isn't, or, whatever that whole thing is a little, but it has a lot of good kills, a lot of good listen, a lot of R. Lee Ermey. So it's a fun little prequel to that 03 remake, and I think it's pretty good. So it lands right here inside my top 10.
All right, number 9 for me is a movie I'm looking forward to reviewing when we do it. It's a Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. I just wrote a little summary because I rewatched it just a couple days ago. I respect what this movie is and what it did. It's very gritty, raw, terrifying, and it feels real. However, the beginning of the movie is very slow, and the acting is just okay at best. For such a short runtime, some of the scenes really do feel like they drag on and on and on, though. But I love the ending. I don't love the ending where the guy gets out of the semi. That was kind of stupid of him. But I love the ending with Sally's escape and Leatherface swinging that chainsaw around. I love that visual. I think it's great.
First off, Meet Mungus Merlot. No, I have not seen that trailer. The teaser trailer for the Sawyer Massacre. And secondly, that's a hell of a name. I really respect that screen name, Meet Mungus Merlot.
Both names, the Sawyer Massacre trailer and Meet Mungus Merlot.
Oh yeah, no, that's the Sawyer Massacre. Yeah, that's cool. But I was talking about Meet Mungus. That's awesome. My number 9 is Child's Play 2. I think it's a very solid sequel and a very apt run, follow up to a cult or a classic slasher movie. Shout out to Christina Elise. She is one of the top 3 favorite interviews that I've been a part of with this show. She was awesome.
Great. She was so good. Yeah.
Go listen to our review of that movie and our interview with her in the archives, available on don'tgooutthere.com. We're plugging the hell out of the website tonight. I love it.
Dustin.
But,
hey, Dustin, since you mentioned it, our buddy Grinch commented on Facebook and wanted to know what the milk was like in whatever movie we were talking about. Brother, this whole list has a bunch of milk, so just go watch all these movies.
Yeah. Speaking of, she was great in this movie, and I think that it's a movie that I enjoyed. This is right after this movie is where obviously 3 I thought was just okay. Now it's getting a little bit repetitive and overboard, but this one it was you're still riding the high of the original. And you're like, okay, let's see more of it without having to change anything up, and I think it really worked. You got some really cool shots with Chucky and the Doll Factory too.
Hey, Brian.
Go ahead.
Hey, Meet Mungus. Appreciate you subscribing to us on YouTube. Appreciate that. Just got that email.
Absolutely. My number 9, this is the last one in my second tier, which may surprise you based on some of the ones I haven't said yet. But number 9 for me is Scream 3. Now, this one we haven't reviewed. I definitely think we should hit that up at some point before the new one comes out. This definitely, is last in the Scream franchise to me. Now, there's a lot of problems with the writing it, and we'll get into all that during the review. But Aaron Kruger wrote this over Kevin Williamson, and you can definitely tell it has some decent ideas, but the execution lacked big time for me. I appreciate, Mike, you patting me on the back for my prequel outline I wrote, but I really do feel like that outline makes this movie better, and not so much like all of this lore of Maureen Prescott was just thrown in there out of nowhere. I look forward to discussing this further when we get into it. Again, don'tgooutthere.com/underthemask for our blog.
My man, I mean that script in 3 by a significant amount. It really does.
Thanks, sir.
It brings the whole story together. And if you watch them in order, I think it would be awesome. Okay. So my number 9 is Curse of Chucky, which we reviewed in great detail. This is, the more I watch this movie, the more I like it. I think if we did this again in a couple years, Curse of Chucky may move up. It just does a lot of what I like from the original Child's Play, which is kind of hide Chucky a little bit and then have a great reveal of like, oh shit, this doll is evil as hell. And I like the new look. Like, we talked about it in the review. I like the clean face, and then they kind of remove it, and it's the stitch face. I like that, you basically get both Chuckies. I really like the look of the doll. I like Fiona Dorff in this film. I think she's great. God, I love that character. And I love the family tie plot, man. I really do think it's It's really good, and it should have set up a great sequel. It didn't, but it should have. And so that's why Curse of Chucky right here is number 9.
Number 8 for me is my pick from when we did Horror Comedy Month, Bride of Chucky. Really enjoy this movie. I don't think the problem with this movie is Chucky or what is the female doll's name? I can't remember. Chucky and
Tiffany.
Tiffany. Why can I not remember that? Chucky and Tiffany. The problem with Bride of Chucky was just that couple, Katherine Heigl and her boyfriend storyline kind of threw off the tracks a little bit. I really enjoy the movie. I think it's fun, fast paced, and I love the beginning in Jennifer Tilly's trailer when Chucky reveals himself and kills Damien on the bed. Love that scene. But I really like Bride of Chucky.
So my number 8, I went with Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning. We did a whole review on this one, so I'm just going to use my time right now to tell you to go check that episode out. But also, I want to profess my love for Jordana Brewster. I think she's fantastic. She can do no wrong. If my girlfriend's listening right now, I need you to earmuff it real quick. Listen, Jordana, I need you to answer my DMs. But no, Texas Chainsaw Massacre at the beginning, I think it's a really good movie. This is one that I remember when I watched it that last time when we reviewed it. Or it wasn't the last time. I've watched it since then for this. But when I watched it for our review, I just remember just thinking like Mike said, it's a really good slasher movie. It's a good job of telling some of the backstory. And anytime we get Arlie Ermy on screen, give me more of that. R.I.P. to the legend.
R.I.P. Arlie.
Let me answer your question real quick, Shan. My prequel has to be before 1 because of where it ends.
Yeah.
So 100%, that's where it's going to go. Scream 1973. Go read it on the site. All right, so this is my top tier. This is going to surprise some people because every single one of these I consider good, and I mean elite. I would watch them anytime. Love them. Number 8 for me, Hellraiser 6, Hellseeker. My favorite of the Hellraiser series. It's again pretty much not a Hellraiser movie at all, which is why I like it. We get Kirsty back. My man Dean Winters, who Mike thinks is a what did you say, piece of toast or some shit? I don't know.
Milk toast, boring.
Milk toast, whatever the fuck that is. All right, so
very plain.
But my man's from SVU, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Rescue Me, Mayhem from the Allstate commercials. Man, he always plays a cop, but he does it very well. I love the whole time you're trying to piece this together, what's really happening. I love the twist at the end. I fuck with this movie. I really like it.
Okay. My number 8 is the original Child's Play. Again, we did a great breakdown review of that movie all the way back at episode 6. My thoughts have changed a little bit on that since then. I like this movie more since we did that review. I think Alex Vincent he's an annoying little kid actor, but I think he plays his part really well. Again, everything I like about kind of is this, like, we know as an audience that Chucky is evil, but they don't know. And I've always liked when Child's Play does that instead of just giving me evil Chucky. And I think this movie does the best job of it. I think the end is where this movie falls a little flat. It would be higher if it knew when to end the movie. But obviously, Chucky coming back to life 3 times in the same movie doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. Like, it's a little overkill. But I really like a lot of this story. My man falls out a window. That's hilarious. There's a lot to like about this original Child's Play. So that's why it's number 8. It's in my top 10. Again, 7 and 8 are interchangeable to me. You could flip the 2 and it wouldn't hurt my feelings.
All right, I guess from my tiers, I never really thought about it, but from 7 up, I would say I love these movies. Number 7 is the original Child's Play. I'm just going to piggyback right off you, Mike. I agree with you. The only part I don't like about this movie really is just the ending just goes on and on and on and on, and they can't figure out when to just finally kill Chucky off.
Right.
I like the slow burn. I absolutely love the reveal when the mom holds Chucky up above the fireplace. Love that reveal.
You bitch!
And I love when he goes to the ventriloquist house, and he breaks his legs and stabs him in the heart. Love that. I love Chucky. I love the first one.
So for my number 7, I went with Scream 3. This is the first time I've mentioned a Scream movie, so spoiler alert, I'm pretty high on the franchise.
So am I. So am I.
Oh, I know, pal. Scream 3, like you said, Mike, I like the meta of the franchise as well. This one just goes a little bit overboard. I would have had it lower, but the David Arquette factor automatically bumps it up. So shout out to Deputy Dewey. Can't wait for your return to the big screen in January. When is it? When is the next? When is Scream 5? Is it
January 2022?
January. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Scream 3 is a movie that I agree we definitely need to review. But then I was thinking about that. Will that be the only movie then that we've reviewed every movie in the franchise?
Pretty sure.
Tells you how fucking great it is. Scream 3, number 7.
Well, thank God there's only 4, because all these other ones have 10, 8, 9. Like, damn it, man.
So number 7 for me is Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. We reviewed this one too. I gave it a 7.5 when we reviewed it then. There were more problems with it than I remembered, but I still liked it. I don't know if I'd rate it differently or not now, but I definitely said all I have to say about that. Go listen to that review, and definitely go listen to our interview with Diora Baird and Lou Temple from this fucking movie. Those are great interviews.
Hey, what's the dish, Ishmael? Huh?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning is episode number 47.
My man Lou Temple's still drinking water, or he never took a sip of water. Excuse me.
Yeah, and I should say, I mentioned that Christina Lisa is one of my top 3 interviews. I've made it very publicly known that Lou Temple was absolutely my favorite interview that I've been a part of. That man's a legend. Awesome.
I wish I could have made that one. I love that he shouted me out, though. Because what's the dish, Ishmael? What the fuck, huh? Come on. Anyway, all right. My number 7 is, sorry, Nico. We cannot disagree more on a film than we do this movie. My number 7 is Leatherface. Look, I admit that I like this. Look, you had Seed of Chucky High. I don't want to hear it, dude. That movie sucks ass. I admit that I like this movie more than most people. So I will come out and say that right away. It doesn't feel like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, but maybe that's why I kind of like it more than the rest. I love the whodunit aspect. I just like a good whodunit, murder mystery, or any kind of mystery. Like, I'm just a big fan of that genre. And I even though the twist is kind of obvious, I think it works. Like, I'm a fan of it. Like, it doesn't bug me in the slightest. I like that it kind of feels like a road adventure movie, kind of like The Devil's Rejects or whatever. Like, I think it kind of has that feel a little bit, and I like that feel. I just think, and the scene in the diner is awesome. I love that scene in the diner. The kills are violent. They're cool. I'm a fan of it. So, yeah, man, Leatherface is my number 7. And I get people that don't like it. Totally understand. But for me, it's just a fun little prequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm a fan of it.
That movie about gave me a seizure yesterday when I watched it. Number 6 for me is a movie.
That's not my fault. You have epilepsy.
I don't. Number 6 is a movie that we reviewed recently. That is Curse of Chucky.
Mm-hmm.
I always debate in my mind which one I like better as my second in the Child's Play franchise between the original and Curse. After our review, I really like Curse of Chucky. I mean, it's got a little bit of continuity errors, or if you're pure to the first one, it's it's got a different storyline, but I love it. It's dark. I love Fiona Dorff. I love her in the movie. I think Curse of Chucky is a great movie.
Okay. My number 6, I went with Scream 2. So back-to-back Scream movies here. We did a full review on this one, so you can hear me talk about how much I like it in that review. Although I was looking at the ratings today, and honestly, if I could go back and rank a couple movies, it would probably be Scream 2 and 4. I wasn't on for the first Scream, but I've told you guys what I ranked it. I would rank it or rate it higher as well. Anyway, for Scream 2, I like how we get the openings. Like, how are you going to top one of the best opening scenes of all time? Well, you throw Jada Pinkett Smith and Omar Epps in the opening scene, and you kill them both, and you give us inspiration for one of the most iconic scenes in the scary movie franchise. So
got a dick in the ear, bro.
And plus you had the twist with Debbie, the mom being in it, and her twist. You had fucking Jerry McDonald. So it's good. Or Timothy Olyphant, who I'm thinking of. Timothy Olyphant's great in it. Yeah. Scream 2, I think is a very good movie. Number 6.
So I'm about to make a change right here on the fly, and switch a couple around real fast. Number 6 for me, I agree with Dustin. Scream 2. When we reviewed this one, I remember being a little bit disappointed from what I remembered, but I still have a ton of nostalgia for this one. While at one point it was my favorite Scream movie, and now it's number 3 on that list. So I still love it. It's episode number 27. If you want to go back and go give it a listen. I gave it an 8.75, and I think I pretty much stand by that.
All right.
5. Whoa, man. Come on, man.
I'm sorry, Mike. I'm sorry.
God damn it, man. you owe me for this restream account.
Hey, I'll Venmo you $5 after this.
I'm kidding, bro. I'm kidding. All right. Yeah, my number 6 is right in line with you guys. Scream 2. Obviously, we broke it down in depth. And look, I would probably rate that higher now than I did at the time. Like Brian, for a long time, it was my favorite Scream movie. And just over time, it's become number 3 for me in that franchise. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, by the way. That still, I love that it's my favorite horror franchise because there's really only one bad movie, and even that movie's not so bad. So, again, I love Scream 2. The only part of Scream 2 that I don't love is Jerry O'Connell singing, I think I love you. I hate that scene. I fast forward through it every time. It sucks. I know they're kind of tipping their cap to Top Gun. Well, it's not done very well. Let Top Gun do what Top Gun does, and you do what Scream does. I love Timothy Olyphant. I actually like the killers in this movie. A lot of people don't. And, in our review, I remember saying I was iffy on it, but I watched it again leading up to this, and I'm a bigger fan of it than I remember. Like, I think the killer reveal was really good. You could cut some of this film, though, by the way. If you want to cut Sydney's drama class stuff in college, I think you could kind of cut a lot of that out, and the movie wouldn't change so much. But, yeah, Scream 2 right here at number 6, a really good movie in the franchise to me.
All right, so my 5, 4, and 3 are pretty interchangeable, but at number 5, I chose The Oddball in Tonight's. I chose Trick or Treat. This is a movie that I've watched a bunch of times since we reviewed it. It's one of those movies you can just pop on and just let it play while you're just chilling, and you just look up and you're like, man, I love this movie. It's so charming. It's so fun. I love Trick or Treat. The only thing I don't love about Trick or Treat is I've shot my shot with Quinn Lord to try and get him on the show about 1,000 different ways, and it's not working. It's not working, y'all. So it's not due to lack of trying. But Trick or Treat, like we said in our review, it's just like the first time I watched it, I was like, it's okay. I watch it again. I was like, man, all right, I liked it a lot more. Every time I watch it, I don't know. It makes me feel some type of way. It just makes me happy. I don't know. But it's one of the best Halloween movies that you can watch. Like nothing captures, outside of maybe the first Halloween, nothing captures the Halloween mood and atmosphere like Trick or Treat. I really love it. And I want Quinn Lord on the show someday. So we'll make it happen someday, maybe.
All right. So my number 5, I went with Child's Play, the original 1988. I think it's funny that Nico earlier today said that I'm not a Chucky guy when I just proved you wrong, but I got the original in my top 5. Classic. I think it's a classic movie. It was all downhill for the franchise from here. There's some good movies in there, but this one was the best of the best for me, just because of how unique the concept was and how well it was pulled off. And I think that the one downfall is, like you guys said, the ending did take too long. Ultimately, he's a doll, man. Like he shouldn't. You got to kill him quicker than that. I like the idea of it taking a long time to kill him, like a full movie's length to kill him, because it's shocking that a doll's on the loose. You don't know how to do it. He's elusive. But once you actually figure it out, you got to kill him quicker. So my number 5 is Child's Play from 1988. I definitely want to also give a shout out to Liam. Just remember, keep that, don't drop that bat during your swing. Keep your back elbow up, swing through.
There you go.
So my number 5 is Curse of Chucky. We just reviewed this one, episode number 102. It's my favorite Chucky movie. I gave it a 9 when I reviewed it. Again, not a whole lot more I can say about it. Thanks again to friend of the show, Danielle Bichetti, for doing the intro for us on that one. Gonna wish that wasn't on a bridge during a hurricane and you could have heard her endorse our show, but I'm clearly over that. Love this movie. Ranking at number 5, Curse of Chucky.
All right, so my number 5 is Trick or Treat, the one standalone film. Look, I love this movie too, for all the reasons you said, Nico. It just captures the atmosphere of Halloween so well. I love the plot. I think the acting is good. But to me, this movie's biggest strength is that shoot me if you've heard me say this before. It's mood and atmosphere and cinematography. It just captures what Halloween is all about so well. And it's a perfect movie to watch this time of year. And I think it's really, really good. I think the writing is strong. And it's a standalone movie that I would love to see a sequel to, or B, a mini series within that world. I think would also do a really good job. Like a Netflix or Hulu or something like that. I would like to see that. I think it'd be really good. So Trick or Treat is my number 5 here.
All right, number 4 for me is the original Scream. We actually live tweeted this movie just a couple weeks ago. Had a great time doing that with our fans on Twitter. We're going to be doing that some more in the future, so go follow us on Twitter. What can you say about Scream? I really like the movie. It's great. The only part that I really just don't care for is just the ending. I feel like it takes too long, and it's really just not. It's not scary to me. So it loses me a little bit. But I do like Billy and Stu. I used to hate Stu, but I've grown to like Stu in this movie a lot more. This movie has arguably, if not the best opening scene in horror movie history. Hey, right. Sorry to steal anyone's thunder who's going to say that, but I think that's pretty common knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think next month we're going to be doing a top opening scenes in horror history with another podcast next month. So that's a little sneak peek. But I think the first Scream is a great movie. It's just the other three above, I'm just going to watch before it just because I like them a little bit more.
Okay. My number 4, I went with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 03. I think that this was a great job at reviving a franchise. It's probably the best horror remake of all time. Friday 13th 09 comes to mind.
I would agree with that, though. I would absolutely.
But this movie's fantastic. It would be first in my rankings of its franchise, but I just love how the original made me feel. Like it's just timeless to me. So that's the only reason. It was like splitting hairs, to be honest with you. Yeah. But I went with this one at number 4. Also, Jessica Biel's fine as hell, so that doesn't hurt. And Arlie Ermey is the man.
Hey, you think that movie has enough underneath the ass shots of Jessica Biel or no?
More.
Yeah. More.
Number 4 for me, I'm right there with Dustin. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 03. Reviewed this one way early on, like episode 5. I gave it a 9.5. I'd probably give it close to that now, or maybe even, I don't know. It was close to that anyway. I still love this movie. Not much more I can say about it than you just hit on. One of the greatest remakes. It goes back and forth. Definitely, I think 09 Friday is my favorite one. Before that came out, this was my favorite one. It kind of fought with Dawn of the Dead remake.
Okay, my number 4 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original 1974. This is truly a classic film to me, man. I love this movie. Dustin mentioned it. The way it makes you feel is what makes it so good. It makes you feel uneasy and kind of dirty and gross. And I love the family, the portrayal. I think Sally Hardesty is, great. And the way it's shot, and really what I love about this movie is what it's trying to say. This movie says it has a lot of undertones and subtext, talking about, meat processing and war and all this other stuff hidden within this little horror movie. It's a very, I just think there's even transgender representation. It's got a little bit of that to it. Like there's a lot here that you could take away. And I think it's a timeless classic. Obviously, it's a little slow. So when I'm in the mood it's not a super rewatchable film to me, but every time I watch it, I like it a little bit more. So 1974, the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, number 4.
Jennifer Kramer, I'm glad I got back in your good graces. I appreciate that. Number 3 to me is my favorite Child's Play movie, Child's Play 2. I think I explained pretty much in our review why I love it. You get Chucky, Brad Dourif from the get-go. You get a better Alex Vincent. He's not stuttering through everything he's saying. And I put Kyle, Christina Leese on my top final girls, final guys when we did that episode many moons ago. I think she was great. Her interview was great. She's awesome. I love Child's Play 2, and I love the ending. Like I totally disagree with Mike. I love the ending scene in the doll warehouse. I think that scene's awesome.
Thanks forever.
All right. My number 3, I went with Scream 4. I think it's a really damn good movie. I go back and forth. Honestly, my top 4 movies are pretty interchangeable.
Yeah, me too.
It depends on the day,
me too.
on how I want to rank them. This movie, number 1, it's got Deputy Dewey, so obviously it's great. Number 2,
I don't know why that surprises me every time. I think I'm just like, what? Every time, like it's some new thing.
Number 2, this movie probably has the most elite collection of milk that's ever been assembled in a movie. There are some fine white women in this movie. Shout out to Hayden Panettiere and my one true love, Emma Roberts. Never mind what I said earlier in this show. Emma Roberts, hit me up.
I'm a faithful man myself.
Same. I'm very wholesome. Anyway, yeah, I love Scream 4. I wish that I could go back and rate it even higher than I did when we reviewed it, because it's just a movie that I can watch at any given time, and you should check out our review of that in our archives
at don'tgoouthere.com.
Boom.
Episode 60. Number 3 for me, Trick or Treat. Look, I love this movie.
Yeah.
When we reviewed it, I had never seen it. I was just so blown away by it. Like I was pleasantly surprised. And the longer time goes by since then, I find myself loving it even more. I rated this the highest out of us, and it may go higher now if I had the opportunity to change it. I gave it 8.25, but I'm looking more in the 8.759 range now. Number 3 for me.
Yep, I tweeted that yesterday.
Yeah,
I tweeted that last night. If I could re-rate it, I would be way higher than a 7.
Yeah, and again, my top 5 are pretty interchangeable. So Trick or Treat being in that top 5 is no slight against it. You could interchange. Well, number 1 is number 1, but outside of that, 2, 3, 4, 5, you could kind of interchange depending on my mood. Okay, my number 3 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. I fucking love this movie, man. It's awesome. It's so badass. I just think it takes everything I like about the original and kind of modernizing it for an audience like me. It's dirty, it's gross, but in a good way. I love the kills in this movie. I like how they at least do some different stuff from the original. This movie is just to me, a more modern take on the original. I don't think the violence is near as bad as everyone tried to make it out to be. It's fine. It's no different than any other slasher movie that we've seen. It just feels kind of more gross. And I like this Hewitt family more than I do the Sawyer family that we get in the rest of the franchise.
Yes.
So that's another reason why I love the actors, the portrayals. Arlie Ermey, which we talked about already. Love him and his character here. This is the best portrayal of Leatherface that exists to me. It takes everything about the original and kind of adds a little bit of Jason Voorhees to it, for lack of a better term, and I like that about this character. I think it's awesome. Also, go listen to our review. It's really great. I loved it then. I'll love it forever. And also, Jessica Biel, call me sometime.
Can we kick anybody out of the chat? Just asking for a friend. Didn't know if that was possible.
Is that Sean Irwin?
No. Sean, every time you write something, I just look up and I wait for Brian's reaction when he reads it, and it's priceless every time.
Matt, I'm gonna say Nicolas Cage is the biggest overactor.
Absolutely, I agree. Are you kidding?
Yeah, I agree. Now look, I'm very interested in these top 2 because I think I know everybody's, but I don't know Nico's, and I know Mike's.
You gotta know mine.
You know my top.
There's only 2 left.
I don't remember. I don't remember.
All right, coming at number 2 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning.
Okay.
Absolutely I love the 03-06 timeline. I said that in both of our reviews. I rated them the same. If I could go back in time, I'd probably drop 06 down maybe a quarter. But, a lot of us don't really like prequels. I love this prequel. It explains a lot about the Hewitt family. Heck, it even explains how Arlie Ermey lost his teeth, how he became the sheriff. I love seeing Leatherface in the meat plant, him walking down the road. And I remember Lieutenant, one of my favorite interviews as well, just saying Andrew Bernarski is just an intimidating figure. He felt like him having a pistol. He felt like undermatched versus a guy with a chainsaw. That's how intimidating he was. And just to plug another interview, even though I'm trying not to do all that too much, But Dior Barrett even said to this day she still has PTSD from being handcuffed under the table with Luda May singing to her. I think this movie is creepy. It does suffer from that over violence from the Saw and Hostel era.
Yeah.
But this movie is awesome. I love the 03-06 timeline. So no one guessed my number one. So I can't buy a shirt for no one. But I'll do another giveaway another time.
I can't even remember. I don't even know what's left for you.
I don't know.
03-06 timeline is my favorite, Brian.
Yeah, I had a feeling that's what it would be.
That surprises me.
Wow. Yeah, I was gonna say we've mentioned 120 movies so far, so I think it's pretty forgivable if someone forgot. My number 2 is Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974, the original. I agree with what you said, Bob. You said just feels so real. It just hits different. I agree with what you said, Shan. It'll freak you out because of the way it makes you feel.
Yep.
This movie, it was incredible to me. Little confession. I just recently watched this movie. What was that, a couple weeks ago when I told you guys I was watching it for the first time?
Yep.
And I loved it. It's classic. It's iconic. Like everybody knows Leatherface. That's an iconic character. But this original, and I think the reason that I loved it so much is because from the way that the opening scenes are shot, the grainy camera, which is because of the time, that's authentic grain in the film. It's not a filter like you see today. But so much of this movie felt like I was watching a Rob Zombie movie, and you guys know how much of a Rob Zombie fan I am. It's easy to see that he draws a lot of inspiration in his cinematic style from this movie. And so when I see how my idols are inspired, then I have to hold those in high regard. So Texas Chainsaw Massacre 74 is a fantastic movie.
Hey, Brian, before you go, when I rewatched that movie the other day, Dustin, whenever that first Leatherface appearance happens, like it still got to pop out of me. Like even though I've seen it already,
it's awesome.
That reveal is very, very good.
Yes, it is.
Agreed.
I ranked it 19. I'll shut up. All right, so number 2 for me, Scream 4. This one I flipped my opinion of whenever Mike picked it. Like Scream 2, when we reviewed it, episode 60, by the way. But this time for the good. I hated Kruger's part of the script when I first saw this movie, but now it's not as bad as I remembered it being. And damn, this is a very good film. The closest to the first one we've had. I gave it a 9. I would only bump that up if I bumped up the goat Scream. So what a damn opening too, man. I loved it. I love everything about Scream 4.
All right. My number 2, I think I'm going to surprise some people. My number 2 is Scream 4. I've gone back and forth.
You flip back and forth. You do.
Yeah.
I flip back and forth on it all the time. If you ask me tomorrow, my opinion may change. But when I really sat down to make this list the last 2 times, I came to the conclusion that it's really hard to beat the original. However, this one comes so damn close for me. It gives me everything I want in the Scream franchise. It's perfectly meta. It doesn't overdo it. It's got a lot of commentary on the horror films at the time. I think that's why I like it, because it's a little bit of a more modern Scream. I'll be honest. The only thing I don't like about this movie is the way it's lit. That's it. Everything else, I absolutely. If I could go back and re-rate it, it would be a 9.95. Like that's how much I love this film. I love the cast. I love the act. Even David Arquette is good. Shout out to Dustin.
What do you mean even?
Anyway, I'm giving the man a compliment over here. Anyway,
it's a backhanded compliment.
No, I didn't say it wasn't. I didn't say it wasn't, buddy. But yeah, I just love that they bring the original cast in that's still alive anyway. Tie it with a really good new set. I love the character of Hayden Panettiere is awesome, in this role, and I really hope and she's a part of this next Scream movie, because they left it open-ended. Wes Craven, R.I.P., left it open-ended for that reason, hoping that character would get revived. Man, I hope she gets revived. I love that character of Kirby. I think she's great. And again, I just love this whole cast. I think the twist on who the killer is awesome. It's awesome. I love this movie. Scream 4 is my number 2.
Real quick before you go, Nico, Matt, you bring up a good point that I meant to mention earlier when you said the grandpa in the kitchen from the original Texas Chainsaw was creepy. I meant to shit on that part from the second one, because they were recreating grandpa's hitting her in the head with the hammer, and it was such a such an abomination compared to that scene from the original that it just pissed me off. So
it's fair. It's fair.
All right, number one for me, it was one of the very first movies we ever reviewed back when I really didn't know how to do scene by scene, but I've grown and progressed. 2003 Texas Chainsaw remake, reboot, whatever you want to call it. I think this movie is fantastic. It's great. You get a phenomenal performance from Leatherface, from Angie Bernarski. These two movies, the 06 and 03, are just so nostalgic to me because I owned that DVD. You know those old DVDs where you flip them over side?
Yep.
You know, they double-sided DVDs?
Yeah,
I had that. Bought it at Walmart. It was just one of those movies I could go home at nighttime and I would pop either one of those in, just depending on, I would just randomly pick and just throw it in and watch them. I really love the 03 remake. I think it's great. Jessica Biel, she kind of starts off shaky as a final girl, but she comes pretty badass at the end. She still killed my man Andy pretty terribly, stabbing him in the gut. Could have did a little better than that. But Arlie Ermy, absolutely, he's terrifying. As terrifying as Leatherface is, Arlie Ermy is just a sick, demented human being, and he was great.
Probably the worst one. You're right.
He's definitely the main villain to me.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy that movie, and I'm even open to reviewing it someday, just because I feel like I would be better, and all of us would be a little bit better at it. But that's up to the group. But I'm up for it.
So my number one is Scream. Just an iconic movie. The opening scene is one of the best in movie history, not just horror movie histories.
Yeah.
Especially since it's such a tease. Like you think, oh, Drew Barrymore, awesome, and then she's killed off so quick. I love everything about it. It's our introduction to one of the best characters of all time, and Deputy Dewey. What can I say about this movie? I wish that I was a part of the show at that time to review this movie with you guys, but at the same time, I'm glad I wasn't, because I would have criminally underrated this movie. I think that Scream is one of the best movies of any genre. I enjoy it. It's one that I will watch several times a year.
Yep.
So yeah, Scream.
I wonder what Brian says.
Yeah, exactly, Bob. Former WCW champion David Arquette. And also, while we're on the subject, go to Hulu and check out his documentary, You Cannot Kill David Arquette. It's fantastic.
I bet Ghostface does in the next movie. Let's do it.
He is Ghostface, pal.
That'd be okay.
Before you go, Brian, I'm just going to throw it out there. We will re-review Scream because we owe a few of our very first ones that are, like Dead Meat. He redid all the kill counts for Friday the 13th. He just said, I've gotten better at my craft over time. He wanted to do the movies more justice. We will do those classics, those iconic ones again down the road.
Oh, the first 3 episodes need a re-reviewing. Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween 78, and Scream all need a re-review at some point down the road for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
But we have picked up a lot of these fans. Thank you guys so much, by the way, with what we have too. So I am definitely up for it always. My number one, obviously, Scream. What can I say about this? I didn't say way back in episode 3, like you said. By the way, look, shout out to the Gore Girls podcast. They just reviewed this, and I think they did a fantastic job.
It was awesome.
I really loved that review. Yep. Obviously, like you said, greatest opening of all time to a horror movie. But I think we're going to have a chance, like Nico said, to find that out before too long here in the next month or so. I gave it a 9.5. I would rate it a 10 if I had to go back and change it. I didn't know what I was doing back then. I still don't know what I'm doing, but I would rate it a 10 at least because I care less about what you think. So 10.
There you go.
Go ahead, Mike.
To no one's surprise, or maybe a little bit, my number one is Scream from 1997. I just freaking love this movie. It's so good from start to finish. I don't think there's a dip at all. And, we kind of nitpicked it on episode 3, but if we ever got to re-review it, I just don't think I would be as harsh, man. I just love this movie so much. The opening scene is iconic. It's one of the best of all time. I'm not going to tell you where I rank it because we're going to do that show, but one of the best of all time. Drew Barrymore's great. The suspense and tension in that opening scene is freaking phenomenal, man. It's awesome. All to the sound the Jiffy Pop makes. Like it's really good. And I love Neve Campbell as Sidney Prescott. I think she's great. I think this cast around her is great. I love Stu. I know that it took Nico a while, but I love the feeling woozy here, man. Like, I love all that stuff. Is it overacting a little bit? Yeah. But I think it's to Stu's character. He's kind of a loose cannon, a little bit of a nutcase. And so when you view it through that lens, I think it's fine. I love the original twist on, you get a red herring that it could be Billy earlier, and it ends up being Billy, but you're kind of off of Billy for a little bit. What? Oh, that's
Billy? Oh, that's got spoiler alert. Oh, geez.
Oh, my bad, man. My bad, everyone. My bad. I forgot I spoiled a movie, 24 years later. Anyway, so if you want to feel old, Brian was like, probably a senior in high school or whatever he was in 97. Anyway, what? Something I said?
I was in 6th grade in 96.
Anyway. So, yeah, I love the movie from start to finish. Man, this movie has freaking Henry Winkler in it as the principal, man. Hard to beat, okay? I just love it. I love Ghostface when it's done properly anyway, looking at you, Scream 3. So, yeah, Scream is my number one. I can't shower it with enough love.
Well, that's it.
That's it, fellas. Hey, we almost went 2 hours, which is, I believe, is about the same as last time, and we had more franchises here, so that's kind of good to know. Fellas, we've already gone long. Is there anything else you want to say besides thanking everyone that followed along? I'll just go ahead and do that real quick. I want to thank everyone that watched, commented, interacted with us. What a fun time this is. The show is growing. We see it every day in the number of listens and downloads. Go to our website. We have t-shirts and all this other stuff. We have interviews, whatever. I'm going to let Brian plug all that because he's the website guy. But this has been such a blast, and we hope to do this every year around Halloween. Next year, we haven't decided on the films yet, but when we get that to you, we'll let you know. But this was a blast tonight, fellas.
I promise I won't make y'all watch anything as bad as the Hellraiser franchise ever again.
You can if you want, brother. You can.
You can. You can pick whichever one you want to.
All right, I'm picking Ghost of Mars next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, we'll watch it. We'll review it.
I don't want to do that to myself. Go ahead.
Hey, the only thing I wanted to say is if you're a blood donor, you're listening to this early. But if you're not, happy Halloween.
And Jennifer Kramer, I'll turn my mic on if we redo Halloween 78. I promise.
Yeah.
For nostalgic reasons, I think you need to turn it off.
Yeah. Follow the trend. All the hard work that we would put in, and it wouldn't even mean anything. But that's okay. It's fine.
We've had a great night tonight, a lot of fun with you guys, and then Matt Sears has to take us out on a sour note, saying that Halloween 3 is better than 80% of these movies. What? So now my night's ruined.
Well, I will tell you this, Matt
what a
Sears,
wet piece of milk toast. What did you say, Mike? It was something.
He's a piece of milk toast. All it means is that he's very plain, vanilla, boring. Jesus Christ. It's just like triangle teeth. All right, for everyone here, we appreciate you following along. Go listen to our episode about Sleepy Hollow, which just dropped yesterday. A lot of fun, and thank you for checking this out. If you're hearing this on the 31st, I just want to say happy Halloween.
Everyone deserves one good scare.
All right, Sheriff Brackett. We'll see you.